So you're stuck at home watching HGTV and you're like, you know what? I want to flip a house. I want to flip a house in Arizona. And you're like, I only have $1,000 in the bank. How the heck can I flip a house for $1,000? Well, you know what? It's actually possible. And I'm going to show you how we did it, and I'm going to show you how you could do it as well. So stick with me. It's not going to be easy, but it is definitely possible. Hey, what's up, guys? Shant Janessian here. Thanks for taking your time to checking out this video. Today, we're going to talk about flipping a house here in Arizona for $1,000. A little less, a little more, depends. We'll get into that. But before we get into it, I would really appreciate if you guys would like and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to just be having more real estate videos like this for you guys. I'm talking about Arizona, kind of some real estate content to help you guys if you're a buyer or seller, to kind of help you maximize, whether it's profits or whatever the case may be, or just plain simple educational stuff. Before we get into how you could actually flip a house for just $1,000, like I said, give or take a little less, a little more, we're going to talk about different ways how you could purchase an actual property. So we're going to go off of like you finding a house on the MLS, Zillow, whatever it is. You're working with an agent, right? And you find this house and you live in the area and you're like, you know what? I know this house, let's say it's listed at $250,000. It's in your area. You know the area inside out. And you're like, you know what? This house, if it's cleaned up, fixed up, remodeled, it'll sell for $350,000 or $400,000, right? And you're like, there's a lot of profit to be made. But you're like, I don't have $250,000. A couple ways you could get this property. One is buying it straight cash, right? So if the house is listed at $250,000, you go to your mattress, on your mattress, you find that $250,000, you buy the house, right? But a lot of us don't have the $250,000 laying around, and that's why you're checking out this video. So that's one way. Another way is buying the house, buying the property with a conventional loan through a bank. You see the property, you talk to your lender, you talk to your bank, and you just buy the property, right? But with that, you're gonna need 5 to 25% down for a down payment. So if you put 5% down on a $250,000 house, that is $12,500. So that kind of, negates the whole $1,000 to buy property. So if you don't have $12,000 and you can't buy the home through a bank, this option is not for you. You won't be probably able to get an FHA loan. So if you're a first-time home buyer and you're like, hey, I have 3.5% down, 246, probably like $7,000, $8,000. FHA loans won't probably work when you're trying to buy a flip, because more than likely, hopefully the home is in bad condition, and usually FHA loans won't approve homes that are in really bad condition. Probably won't work. Now with the conventional loan, you got to worry about qualifying for the loan, debt to income, your credit score has to be good. All that stuff come into play when trying to buy, and you can do it. People have done it. I know a lot of people who have purchased a home, they see a good deal, conventional loan, they work on it, boom, flip it. But let's say you can't go that route. The other way you could do it is buying the home through a hard money lender. So a hard money lender will lend you the money cash, right? They're different than going to Chase Bank to get a home loan. They'll lend you the cash no matter your credit score, no matter your debt to income. But the problem is they're gonna charge you a higher interest rate, right? So the interest rate's gonna be around 10 to 15%, depending where you live and how you can negotiate that and their terms. Compared to like a regular bank, when you go get a home loan right now, depending when you're listening to this, right now it's around 3%. So that's a big difference. So you're paying a lot of money in interest, but it's the convenience of no debt to no credit score. They're just going to give you the cash, right? They're just going to be first in line with the asset, the property. So they're going to be the main lien holder. So if you don't pay them or if, whatever, they'll take the property. But it's a cash deal, so it'll close quicker, which is good when you're trying to buy these distressed properties. It's very important you're able to close a deal quick, because the people who are selling it, they usually want out of it right away. They want the cash right away. So this part does help. But typically with hard money lenders, you have to put around 10 to 20% down payment. Unless you've worked with them in the past and done a bunch of projects with them, they'll usually do a no money down at a higher interest rate. But typically hard money lenders, especially here in Arizona, they're going to want probably 20% down. So putting 20% down, that's $50,000 down on a $250,000 property we were talking about. So that's probably not going to work. The best way to do it, the way that I've done it, me and my business partner have done it, is finding private money. So private money is finding someone who has the cash, you know them, friend, a family member, friend of a friend of a friend, right? Just kind of talking around, talking to people who has the cash and is willing to invest to make some returns on it, right? You'd be surprised. There's more people than you would imagine that you think you know that have that kind of cash laying around. How it benefits them, right? And if you know people have money, how you could present to them is, hey, John, Jim, or Sally, I have a property that I want to buy to flip. It looks like a home run. You kind of walk them through, show them the property, show them the potential profits, show them the comparables that have sold, remodeled, and be like, hey, this is a home run deal. And I need the money. I need the $250,000 to purchase it. Would you lend me the money to purchase it? Charge me interest on it. And let's say 10% interest. That's kind of the norm, right? You could do a little less. You could do a little more depending on your experience. And you'll pay them monthly interest, 10% monthly interest. Now you're like, why would someone do that? Well, right now it's hard to get 10% returns on your money. So if someone has money laying around, if they're in the stock market or in the bank, they're not making 10% returns. So it could be, really beneficial for them. So if you do 10% interest, you do 250,000 times 10%, right? So that's $25,000 for the year. You divide that by 12. So how much you're going to be paying them per month from when they actually give you the money. So that would be around $2,100 a month that they're paying you. You're paying them every month of just straight interest, just profit to them. So however long the project takes, you're paying them $2,100 a month, $2,100 a month. Now, usually you're like, hey, I don't have $2,100 a month to give someone, right? Because you haven't made the money yet from the profits. So what you do is you tell the person, hey, listen, I will give you all the interest plus more, right? You got to make it a little thing for them. Plus more, maybe you do 12% interest. And you're like, I'll give it to you when we close and I'll give it to you at the proceeds at the end. I'll give you all the proceeds at the end, right? Put it in writing. Instead of 10, go to 12% and say, hey, I'll pay you all at the end. People will do that, right? If it's a good enough deal, someone will do that. The costs don't stop there, right? When you purchase a home, regardless, if you buy it off the market, on the market, you're going to have closing costs, right? So if you go with the typical first kind of way with a bank, you're going to have around 2% in closing costs. That could be $5,000 to $7,000 in closing costs that you would have to pay. But if you're not going that route, if you go on the hard money lender route, you could ask them to put all that money into the loan. Also, your private money person, friend, or whatever it is, will also be able to do that in there. But let them know up front, let them know the numbers, be organized, have all your stuff ready, and they'll give you that money as well up front. So you're not coming out of pocket. Okay, now, this part you're probably waiting for. You've been listening. You're like, okay, so that money, I could purchase it for no money down, but how can I flip it? Because now you got to actually remodel the house, right? So on this kind of house, let's just say it's a $40,000 budget, right, to remodel the house, which is pretty fair in that kind of price point, depending where you live and how bad the house is. So you're like, $40,000. I don't have $40,000 to get a contractor to do the work. So what you do, if you have a good relationship with contractors, this is where networking comes into place. This is where getting to kind of talk to people, know people in your area. And if you know licensed contractors, make sure they're licensed. Just talk to a couple of contractors that you know and trust and be like, hey, I have this sweet deal, right, to purchase. You show them the potential profits, and you're like, hey, I have this sweet deal. I want to buy it, but I don't have the money to pay for you to remodel it. You walk them with the property, they look at it, they're like, yeah, it's going to cost around $40,000. You're like, okay, hey, listen, I don't have the $40,000 to give you up front. I could give it to you when it closes, but what if we go 50-50 on the profits as well? So they're going to get their $40,000, they're going to get their fee, whatever they make. Usually contractors can make 12 to 15% on a project, right? And you're like, hey, and I'll split this money with you, but you just come out of pocket for the contract. Now, for the whole remodel. Now, you may be asking yourself, why would I give up all my profits, half my profits, I'm giving away interest, I'm giving away all this stuff, going to give half my profits to a contractor. Well, that's the whole point. If you don't have the money, you have to get creative. You got to get a little aggressive. You have to be willing to give up your profits to get into it, to get your feet wet. Now you have 20, if you do this deal, and let's say the profits are going to be $50,000, right? You did all the calculations with all the interest payments, make sure you calculate everything, and you're like, hey, I'm going to make $50,000. If this contractor agrees, I'll give him $25,000. I'll make $25,000. Now you got $25,000 for the next project, right? And you can see how it'll snowball. So make sure if you do get into a deal with a contractor, make sure you have it out in writing. I've learned my lesson. We did not do that. Still did okay, but you definitely want everything out in writing, just because you don't want stuff at the end kind of muddying up the deal. Okay, so now you found your private money, you found your person who is going to lend you the $250,000+. You have someone a contractor that you'll split the profits with. Now, kind of a side note, another option, you could just ask the private money person that you're going to borrow this money from and say, hey, the house is $250,000, the project is $40,000, easy peasy, right? That's also another option. I just like to kind of have people's skin in the game, right? If this is your first time doing something, having the contractor skin in the game so they don't take their time, so they don't screw you. If you're 50 partners, now the contractor, they have skin in the game. They want this project to finish. They want to do a really, really good job. The person who's lending you the money, they want you to, also do a good job. They want to get their money. They want to get their interest payments right at the end of it. So they want you to kind of sell fast too. So everyone is kind of like a team trying to get this thing done. Now you might say, okay, why do you still need $1,000, right? Because everything is kind of paid for right now. So when you purchase a property, at least here in Arizona, other states are different. You have to put down an earnest deposit, right? Earnest deposit could be a range, it could be anything. I've seen people do $500, $1,000, $10,000, whatever the case may be. But let's say you put $1,000 earnest deposit, right? That's all you have. You offer them with $1,000 earnest deposit. But at the end of it, if all the closing costs are covered, there's no down payment, you'll get that money back at the end when you purchase the property. The title company here will refund you that money. So you need the $1,000 up front, they'll get that money back. Now, why you'll actually need to spend the $1,000, and a lot of people kind of forget about this part of flipping, I know I have, and I haven't done tons and tons of flips. This is just my experience with the few that I've done and I keep on doing. This is just kind of my experience. I've helped clients as well flip properties. So this is just my experience. Before I get into something, I do a lot of research, right? And I try to be very knowledgeable, but there's always things you're gonna miss. So one thing you should watch out for is you're gonna have to pay for homeowner's insurance, right? You purchase this property, you need insurance on the property, right? Because you don't wanna have this property, something happens to it, burns down, this, that, or the other, God forbid, knock on wood, or someone gets hurt on your property, you wanna have insurance, right? So you're gonna have to pay up front for that. Also, what some people forget the budget is you're gonna have utilities on the property, right? So you're gonna have the electric, you have to turn the electric on, you have to turn the water on. Once you own it and the contractors have to get to work, you have to start paying for that. So I budgeted around $1,000. It could be less, it could be more, depending where you live, how big the house is. So that's why I said $1,000 that you will probably need of cash to go through with the transaction. Everything else you try to borrow, you try to cut off some of your profits, but you just have to. If you don't have the money, you have kind of no other choice. So make sure you kind of budget everything out, have spreadsheets, read some books. I've read a couple books on flipping. I've listened to Bigger Pockets podcast. Definitely recommend that. Definitely check that out. Watching these HGTV shows, they don't show you everything, all the costs that go with it, with purchasing a flip. So just be careful. It's not just cut and dry, a couple of items. There's a lot of cost to it. So just make sure you budget accordingly. So let's recap. If you're buying a property and you want to flip it with minimal money, find someone that you know that has the cash. So if it's a $250,000 house, find someone, a friend, family member, networking through like real estate groups and stuff like that. There are people, if you could tell them, hey, I could get you 10 to 12% return on your money, they will let you borrow the money. So you go that route. You could either ask them to cover the contractor's fee as well, the remodel fee, or you could partner up with a contractor, which I like to do is because now they have skin in the game. So you give up some of your profits to the contractor, but they're involved. They want to get the house sold fast too. They want to do a really, really good job. So it's very, very helpful. Right now, I am partnering with me and my business partner. We are partnering with the contractor on our flip, and he's super engaged. He's getting things done fast. He's trying to find deals for us because now he's committed. The less the project costs, the more money we're all going to make. So he's very invested. So I really like the strategy. I haven't tried it many times, so like we're still trying to fix the kinks and see if it's really worth it in the long run. But right now, up front, when you're starting out, I think it's a good way to go. So that's kind of a little breakdown and summary of how you could get to flipping with little money down. In conclusion, to get all this, you kind of have to be a good networker, right? People are going to have to like you, trust you. You have to get out there, talk to people, because that's how you're going to meet people who have this type of money. I'm lucky. My business partner that I've partnered up with, I guess I had to network to find him, but we kind of just came through. We're friends. He's a great networker. He knows everybody around here. So like we need something, he has the connections. So that kind of helps. So if you're that type of person, you could really get through and get this done, or find someone who is good at that stuff and you're good at the real estate stuff. So find out what you're good at. But if you have, what I've learned, if you get a good enough deal, you can find the money. The hardest part is finding that deal that makes sense, that you're going to profit $30, $50, $60, $70,000. You could have all the money, but if you can't find a deal, you're not making any money. So hope this video helped. If you guys have any questions about anything, feel free to reach out to me. I know a couple of you guys have reached out to me about like some questions on flipping. One of you guys in Arizona here. So I'd love to, help out in any way I can. I still reach out to other people who have done way more than I have. And I always ask for help. So I have no problem helping you guys with the little knowledge that I know. Not tons. I'm not an expert. I'm just sharing with you guys the knowledge that I've learned along the way, and hopefully it'll help you guys out. So see you guys next time. Bye.